After Principal Kirk finished debating some kids in the crowd, BB Nose took to the stage and began performing. As the concert went on, more and more students were unable to bear it any longer and lost consciousness. Dax and Benson felt a moral obligation to save their peers from this cruel and unusual punishment and began plotting. The future of Industry Plant Academy was now in their hands, and as Principal Kirk dozed off, they found their window of opportunity. While BB Nose was creating noise pollution on stage with Miku, the two were able to sabotage Miku's circuits and played the song they made instead. The song was an instant hit amongst the students of Industry Plant Academy, and the two walked out the school with pride and joy. Unfortunately for them, Kirk was able to catch them in the act. It turned out that one of BB Nose's droids were able to record the moment when Dax and Benson sabotaged Miku. Thanks to this revelation, Principal Kirk now had enough probable cause to reenact segregation in his school. Dax and Benson needed to find a way to redeem themselves and decided to delete the footage. As Principal Kirk began hitting on Somber, the two sneaked past Do-Chi and began searching for the footage. Unfortunately, Kirk was 2 steps ahead of them. Just before Principal Kirk could reenact segregation and remove DEI in his school, Dax uses his 3,000-year-old Israeli hypnotizing device on Kirk. Principal Kirk calls his bluff, however Dax wasn't bluffing and actually managed to hypnotize him. As Principal Kirk lost consciousness and fell to the floor, Dax began experimenting with the hypnosis. Suddenly, Dax had a genius idea and decided to command Kirk to imitate the one and only Captain Epstein. After Kirk hears the command, he stripped off all his clothes, files began flying everywhere, and all that remained was the legendary Captain Epstein. Dax and Benson couldn't believe their eyes, however they didn't have time to enjoy their genius idea, as Epstein almost immediately went out in search of kids. As Epstein rightfully assaulted a French man in broad daylight, Dax and Benson attempted to steer Epstein away from being noticed by the public, however his pursuit of kids wasn't over and he quickly escaped from their grasp. After chasing him throughout the entire town, Dax and Benson managed to catch up to him and took him to their hideout before anyone else got suspicious. After Epstein went through Dax and Benson's albums, Epstein got bored immediately and went out in search of kids again. Dax decided that the Epstein gimmick was getting old and reverted the hypnosis. As Kirk came back into consciousness, Dax and Benson decided to torture him for a little by using the Chinese water drip method. After breaking his mind, Dax and Benson took Kirk's body back to his house. As this was all happening, Professor Einstein was looking for a new job. After hypnotizing Principal Kirk into becoming Captain Epstein, Dax and Benson were met with a new teacher applicant. As the old man began pulling out weapons banned by the Geneva Convention, he handed Principal Kirk a shady resume. The resume was filled with inconsistencies like his vague background, undocumented nationality, and how he wanted to become a history teacher with a science degree. As Principal Kirk began prying, the old man changed the subject and talked about how he was related to Albert Einstein and how Tel Aviv was such a good vacation spot. Kirk was unable to pick up the red flags and was about to hire him, however Dax and Benson knew something was up and began double-checking the resume. As they read through the resume, it became very clear that Einstein was a plant from the IDF to bring their influence into Industry Plant Academy. Professor Einstein knew that his career would be over if Kirk caught on and immediately began deflecting. While in the middle of rambling about Krav Maga, Einstein accidentally chants out glory to the IDF. Even though his mask had practically cracked at this point, Principal Kirk was unable to catch on and hired him. Dax and Benson knew that Professor Einstein would be a problem, bringing their beloved Industry Plant Academy into ruins, and quickly chased after him. At one of Epstein's lavish parties, Einstein was on the cusp of receiving the biggest honor of his lifetime. After putting in countless hours of work, Einstein was proud to reveal his size enlargement ray. With just one pull of a trigger, the wielder of the size enlargement ray could turn a measly 3 inches into like 7 or 8 inches. The crowd was in awe of the countless possibilities, and as they cheered for Einstein, Hillary entered the stage. Just before Hillary could hand Einstein his trophy, Hillary began naming some of the things that Einstein did on the island, like blowing her husband Bill or getting piped down by a horse. It turns out that this was all just an elaborate setup for Einstein, a humiliation ritual staged for entertainment by the elites at his expense. However, this was all just a bad memory from Einstein, triggered by Dax and Benson's new song. Einstein pulls the two out to be punished by Principal Kirk. However, Einstein didn't realize that Kirk was hypnotized into becoming Captain Epstein. As Einstein handed Kirk a copy of their song, Captain Epstein actually really enjoyed it and encouraged Dax and Benson to drop some more. The premise of the song was about a perverted old man who wanted to remove consent and free will, just like Einstein, and met a young boy to groom into becoming his partner in crime. Listening to the lyrics of the song, Einstein realizes that the boy sounded a lot like BB Nose, and gets a brilliant idea. As Captain Epstein began orchestrating the annual Gassy concert with a symphony of the most talented members of Industry Plant Academy, Professor Einstein was busy grooming B.B. Nose into becoming his perfect disciple. After removing his free will, B.B. Nose was now Professor Einstein's perfect obedient soldier, obeying his every command. With this new ally, Professor Einstein could finally take down Captain Epstein once and for all. Meanwhile, back at Industry Plant Academy, Dax and Benson began writing down lyrics for their new albums with Captain Epstein. After Dax and Benson finished writing down their masterpieces, Epstein surprised them with a party. As Dax and Benson began marveling at all the fun activities, Epstein accidentally gets wet and reverts the hypnosis. As Kirk transitioned from Captain Epstein back into Principal Kirk again and again, Dax and Benson eventually lost control over him, and Captain Epstein's inner party monster began getting the best of him. As Captain Epstein performed stunt after stunt, it suddenly began raining, and there was no going back. As Principal Kirk looked at the ruins of Industry Plant Academy, he had enough, and Dax and Benson would face the ultimate punishment. After Principal Kirk successfully segregated Dax and Benson, it was like their worlds had been split into two. After Principal Kirk finally managed to enforce school-wide segregation, Dax and Benson's lifelong friendship gradually tore apart. As Kirk admired the spoils of his victory, he realized that he was turning 41 years old trying to break some kid's friendship and began contemplating on his life. Meanwhile, in an underground studio, B.B. Nose was impressed with Einstein's advanced technology. With Einstein's size enhancement ray, B.B. Nose could finally live up to his claims. However, Einstein didn't care for such frivolous standards and demanded B.B. Nose to bring out Miku. Although Miku was an advanced piece of technology, it wasn't quite up to Einstein's standards, and after a little tweak, it was finally the perfect weapon to defeat Captain Epstein. However, Miku was out of gas, and Einstein and B.B. Nose would have to make Miku gassy again. After collecting the leftover slop from Industry Plant Academy, it was more than enough to power Miku back online, and the two started their crusade against Captain Epstein. As Dax rotted in his slightly less funded classroom, he could sense something was wrong. After Dax begged his teacher to let him use the other restroom, it turned out that Benson had the same idea, as great minds thought alike. As the two made their heartfelt reunion, they were quickly brought back to reality by the rumbling caused by Miku. Because of the school-wide segregation policy, Principal Kirk was furious upon seeing Dax in the good bathroom. However, there was no time to wait, as moments before, Professor Einstein and B.B. Nose collaborated to upgrade Miku into the perfect brain activity eradicator, dubbing it the Compilation mechanism. After Professor Einstein pulled up to Industry Plant Academy in the Big Cobby, Einstein activates the Compilation mechanism gimmick, eliminating all brain activity to those who witnessed it. Luckily, Dax and Benson managed to avoid it, but the sight of their soulless classmates haunted them. Einstein demanded for Captain Epstein to face him, or else he'll level Industry Plant Academy. Just as everything seemed over, Principal Kirk conveniently walked in, and Captain Epstein came to save the day. Professor Einstein finally got what he wanted. However, Captain Epstein wasn't anything like he ever imagined. For one, he didn't have any reaction to the kids, and two, he was unusually patriotic. After closer inspection, it turned out that Principal Kirk was able to fight back against the hypnosis and merged his and Epstein's psyches into one in a process called Kirkification. However, Einstein only saw this as a nerf and immediately went on offense. As Epstein charged in to stop Einstein, the budget ran out and they would have to slide PNGs and freeze frames. After Captain Epstein gets thrown around by the Compilation mechanism, Dax and Benson managed to sneak onto it and attempted to convince B.B. Nose to stop. However, B.B. Nose was too far gone to Einstein's brainwashing. After finishing off Captain Epstein once and for all by flushing him down the Miku sludge, Einstein could now partake in the pleasure of removing Dax and Benson's free will. As the two faced the power of the Compilation mechanism, it became increasingly clear to Einstein that they were immune to the Compilation mechanism's hypnosis. Upon examining their brains, Einstein was shocked to see so much Kirkification occurring in the back of their minds. Even after cranking up the Compilation mechanism to full power, he was unable to rot their brains because their brains had already been rotted. After B.B. Nose escapes certain death, the Compilation mechanism overheats and explodes, returning the free wills of the students of Industry Plant Academy. Dax and Benson had finally overcome the Compilation mechanism. However, even though the Compilation mechanism was destroyed, Professor Einstein couldn't bear to see Dax and Benson happy, and immediately attempted to shrink them. As this was happening, Captain Epstein was absorbing Miko's sludge and gained actual superpowers. After Captain Epstein gained superpowers, it seemed like Einstein's evil plots would be foiled. However, Epstein's incompetence would give Einstein another chance. After Dax and Benson kept missing and shooting the wrong things with the size enhancement ray, they finally hit Einstein, and Captain Epstein redeems himself by saving the school, but unfortunately lets Einstein get away. As the authorities rushed to the scene, Captain Epstein immediately fled the premises and hid out in Dax and Benson's studio. Although Epstein was a joy to have around, Dax and Benson couldn't deny that Principal Kirk kept Industry Plant Academy safe and orderly, and decided to break the hypnosis. As they spoke to Epstein one last time, Dax takes of the artifact and destroys it, freeing Principal Kirk of the hypnosis. As expected, Kirk felt violated and swore to enact a massive punishment. However, Dax and Benson were willing to take responsibility for Principal Kirk's torment. Instead of pranking Kirk, Dax and Benson decided to make it up to him by sneaking a love letter from Somber and vice versa. As Dax and Benson walked by, Kirk was in a jolly mood and didn't segregate them, and even gave them their songs back. As Kirk skipped off in the distance, Dax and Benson decided to spectate their date. For once, it seemed like Principal Kirk would finally be happy again, and the story would end here. However, suddenly hundreds of those Cobby Lane toys invaded the town. It turns out that the radiation from the Cobby Lane mechanism seeped into the surroundings and created Cobby Lane screen breakers. In the heat of the moment, Kirk accidentally snaps his fingers and transformed again. Although they thought they had broken the hypnosis, Kirkification had seeped deep into his body, and Captain Kirk was born.